Para sa puntong ito po ay puntahan natin ang aming kasamang si Emil Carreon sa kanyang panayam kay British Ambassador to the Philippines, Asif Ahmad. Narito ang talakayan sa Balitaan.
Maraming salamat sa iyo, Vivian. Malawak na po ang naging relasyon ng Inglaterra at ng ating bansa. At ika nga ay malaki na ang naging puhunan ng ating samahan sa pagitan ng dalawang bansang ito. Kaya naman ngayong umaga ay ating makakapanayamang British Ambassador. Pero bago yan ay tunghayan natin ang isang report kaugnay sa matagal ng samahan na tulungan ng Pilipinas at ng Inglaterra. Narito ang aking report.
Lalo pang pinagtibay ang relasyon ng Pilipinas at United Kingdom sa larangan ng bilateral relations, gayon din sa mga isyu na may direktang kaugnayan sa mamamayan. Kasama na rin dito ang sa negosyo o komersyo at lalo na sa global security sa rehiyon at iba pang panig ng mundo. Kamakailan ay mismong si Pangulong Benigno Aquino III ang personal na bumisita sa Inglaterra para makipag-ugnayan sa mga lider bansa dito. Gayon din ay hinarap ni Pangulong Aquino ang mga nangungunang negosyante sa iba't ibang larangan ng United Kingdom. Sa taong 2010 ay 96,925 ang mga Briton na bumisita sa Pilipinas, bilang ito ng mga turista. Pero nitong 2011 ay biglang umangat sa halos 105,000 ang bilang ng mga bisitang Briton. Sa mga Pinoy OFWs at immigrants naman ay umaabot na sa 200,000 ang bilang ng mga Pinoy na naninirahan sa United Kingdom. Ikalawa ito sa pinakamalaking bilang ng mga naninirahan o nakakuha na ng permanent residency doon kumpara sa bansang India. Karamihan sa bilang na ito ay nasa medical o allied medical professions. Batay sa Institute for Public Policy Research ay 85.4% ang nasa working age sa mga immigrants na Pinoy na ito o yung may kakayahang mamasukan o magtrabaho.
Sasaksihan po natin ang paglalagda sa ilang business deals na pinagkasunduan natin, katuwang ang Shell, Gas Asia, Taboytis, Rolls-Royce at Cebu Pacific. Malawig po ang serbisyo maaaring mahatid ng Pilipinas sa mga investors na ito, lalo na sa larangan ng information technology at business process outsourcing, renewable energy, electronics at ang public-private partnership projects.
Sa panahon ng matinding hamon ng pagbabago ng panahon o itong climate change ay nakaayuda pa rin ang Inglaterra para mapaghandaan ang sitwasyong ito.
Mahalaga ang adaptation pero hindi ito sapat dahil hindi tayo nakakasiguro sa tubigin lakas ng bagay. Talas ng pagbaha at iba pang pagbabago ng ating panahon.
Sa anumang pagkakataon, sa anumang hamon ay mas kinakayang maresolba ito sa pamamagitan ng pagtutulungan. Para sa Telebisyon ng Bayan, ako si Emil Carreon.
At kaugnay ng report na yan ay bisita natin ngayong umaga dito mismo sa Team Balitaan Studio si British Ambassador to the Philippines. Narito po si Honorable Asif Ahmad, ang British Ambassador to the Philippines. Magandang umaga po, Ambassador.
Magandang umaga sa inyo lahat.
Tama po ang naririnig nyo, ang bisita natin ay British pero marunong po siya magtagalog. Aside from knowing how to
Yes, I tweet as Asif Ahmad, and the reason why I do this is very simple. It's direct. I can talk to people face to face. And you know, your language sometimes uses so many characters, so I can be a little bit more casual, because if you use a word like makikipag-usap, you know, you'll use up 120 to 40 characters straight away. So it's a way of communicating directly. People know that it's really me. So I think it's a good way to use a new communication tool.
How does it help the relationship between the UK and the Philippines for you using the language, the Filipino, and the social media?
The way we do this is straightforward because, you know, language, we are very fortunate because English is a universal language and is very readily spoken here in the Philippines.
Yes.
But I think if you learn the language of the country that you're posted to, then you get more signals. You actually get the feeling that people have behind what they're actually saying. And you know, over here people switch between English and Tagalog mid-sentence. So this is an excellent way of understanding what is actually going on.
In the video that we have a while ago, we have our president talking about the business relationships, bilateral relationships in his visit to the UK. What are the developments of this visit of our president in the UK?
No, we certainly appreciated the fact that Pangulo Aquino came to the United Kingdom, and it really marked a significant stage in our relationship. You know, we are the single largest investor here in the Philippines from the European Union. And if you look at the story of investment, we're now seeing investment from the Philippines going out to the UK, which shows that the country is getting stronger. But we need to do a lot more in bilateral trade. It's hovering at about £1 billion a year. There's no reason why it shouldn't be double that amount in the next 3 to 4 years.
And how is the relationship on matters of good governance going? I understand that you really support the campaign of the Aquino administration on good governance.
Now, we believe that if you have good governance and transparency, then the first beneficiary of this are the people of the Philippines themselves. Because that way people know that where their funds are going and what benefits they're getting from what people are putting in. But foreigners like ourselves, you know, when we invest, when we provide any kind of assistance, we want to see that it's being used properly and that it's having the desired impact. So I think it's as much for the benefit of the people of the Philippines as us to have this as hardwired into the country.
And you are also focused on education, Ambassador. How are you doing with the Shivning scholarships that you are giving to the deserving Filipino students?
Yeah, for 30 years now, we have been sponsoring postgraduate studies in British universities in Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, and the rest of England. And what we do is each year we pick a certain number of countries where we want to enhance our program.
Yes.
And this year, I'm pleased to say, in the Philippines, we will double the number of students, take it up to 25 if we can find the right candidates. And the application opens on www.chevening.org from today. And what we're looking for are people who've got a decent degree now from the Philippines, 2 years of work experience, so that they have some maturity behind them. But on top of that, then we will pay for all the living expenses. The tuition is free. The only other requirement we have, dapat babalik sa bansa.
Dapat?
Babalik sa bansa.
Wow. And you also put in there a colatilla, potential leaders?
Yes. What we're doing is what sort of candidate are we picking? We look at people who are in science, in the legal field, working in administration, in LGU, or even in a company. And we're trying to see, will this person in 10, 20, 30 years be in a position of influence, decision-making, and real responsibility in this country? So if you look at somebody like Bobby Ocampo, now he studied in the United Kingdom. He wasn't a Chevening scholar, but he studied in the UK. Now he became finance minister of this country. So that just shows how education can, in the long term, create people who not only are contributing to their own country, but I think have an affinity for ours.
Yes. And how are the workforce immigrants in UK doing? On the last count, I saw 200,000 immigrants in the UK, or even more?
Yeah, I think if we look at the figures, we're probably closer to 250,000 now. But the term that I don't use in the context of the United Kingdom and the Philippines is OFW.
Okay.
We don't recognize this. I know it's valid as a definition for other purposes. These are people who happen to live and work in the United Kingdom. Some of them are British citizens. Some of them are married to British citizens. They're simply there on a bona fide basis, contributing to all parts. truly beautiful country this is. Then you also have the flights are increasing, between the two countries. But I think it's also to do with the fact that the natural beauty of this country is superb. But tourism the other way is increased as well. 30% increase in the number of people from the Philippines
Going to London.
Yeah.
And one of their favorites is London.
Well, London, but I think the thing really is that for people to see more, to see Edinburgh, to see Wales, to see Northern Ireland, I would say that just like the Philippines, all parts of our country are attractive.
You are one of the countries that are really watching on the comprehensive agreement on the Bangsamoro. How are you observing it, sir?
Well, this story for me began in 2008 when I saw an opportunity as the director for ASEAN to engage the United Kingdom in the process. So we offered our help at that time. So for me, I'm very fortunate that I've come over here and I can see the significant progress. Right now, we're of course in a very interesting stage with the basic law being drafted, and people I know are going to be working very hard between now and the middle of the month to get this sorted out. This is crucial not just for the people of Mindanao or the indigenous people. This is crucial for the rest of the Philippines, because what I keep saying is look at the example in our country where in Northern Ireland for hundreds of years there's this history that developed, but then we were able to solve it by creating a devolved administration.
Yes, okay. Your message, please, to our televiewers who are expecting maybe some good news, or your message to our viewers now.
Well, thank you very much. This is my first complete year in the Philippines. Many things have happened, positive as well as challenging. We launched a huge operation to help the victims of Yolanda and Bohol, and now in Zamboanga. Our interest is what every Filipino wants too, a country that develops, that country that invests in its infrastructure, the country where people's well-being improves through education, housing, and also being connected to the world. Because if you're connected with us, you're joining one of the biggest single markets in the world in the EU. So I see this as a broad relationship that over the next 10, 20 years will show that we treat the Philippines as an equal partner and not just a country where we think there's just development potential. You are influential in the world, and we want the Philippines to use that influence.
Yes, thank you so much, Honorable Asif Ahmad, the British Ambassador to the Philippines.